Welcome back to the After Contract Hours podcast, the show where we clock out at work to check in on the well-being of the world. In today's episode, we explore the profound journey of spiritual awakening, unveiling its transformative power in the navigation of this sacred experience. Joining us is a very special guest, TikTok psychic medium sensation and one of my best friends, Brianna Appling. Through her unique and gifted lens, Brianna offers insights on what a spiritual awakening may look like in one's life and how to discover proactive ways to apply this experience for a happier, more fulfilling life trajectory. And just a heads up, the beginning of this episode starts off with an eccentric twist, and then we just dive right in. I hope you enjoy.
If this video found you, there is a reason, okay? Spirit has a message for you. And if this is the first time you've ever seen me, hi, I'm Brianna. I'm a psychic medium, and I do these collective readings, so if you like this kind of thing, make sure to follow me. Okay, so yeah, I usually just kind of like shuffle the cards, and sometimes I'll use the definition, but I don't always. Sometimes I just psychically pick up on information from the cards, so, you know, let's see where the road takes us.
So fast.
You're not afraid to speak your mind. No, I know you, so it's kind of hard to but I'll just tell you what I'm getting. But I feel like you're not afraid to speak your mind, and you have very big ambitions and goals. Like, this is not the end. Like, even this podcast is not the only thing you want to do in life. There's a lot of big things you want to do.
Mm-hmm. So you just wait, and like if a bunch of cards just drop out at one time, you just roll with all of them?
Yeah. Just, intuitively, I just kind of feel what feels right,
Yeah.
Okay. I'm seeing you working closely with students, like in small groups. Like, I'm not talking about teaching. I feel like there's going to be something where you do where it's like, maybe it's like an after school thing that are you already doing it?
Mm-mm.
So I feel like there's going to be something to where it's like, maybe like 2 or 3 kids stay after class, and it's like you're going to be working with them, doing like small things with them. I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's going to help them in some way, like these small little projects that you're going to do like after school. And I feel like you're almost going to be putting a lot of weight on your back doing this, because you feel so called to do it and so inspired to do it that even though you're going to be very, very busy, you can't say no. And you're like, you're going to love doing it, and that's what's going to make it work. But there's going to be a lot on your back for a while there when you take on this extra thing. So you have to let me know what ends up happening.
I know exactly what it is.
Oh, really?
It's freaking crazy.
It's going to pay off in the long run. That's what I just heard. So whatever this is that you end up doing, it's going to pay off in the long run, because that's what I just heard. So maybe by March is when it'll kind of like start. Let's see. Ace of Cups. Aces are about new beginnings. So yeah, a new beginning with this is going to be really good. It's going to bring you emotional fulfillment. It's going to make you really happy. It's going to make you just feel like your life's purpose is being fulfilled. Whatever this is, that's the energy that I'm really feeling with it. And you're going to have spirit helping you with this. It must be something very profound in some way, because I feel like I'm seeing like, sometimes you channel spirit and you don't know it. Ooh. Sometimes that happens, like when you're working with children and you're giving messages to them, like kind of like motivational speeches, that's spirit. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes when it just flows super easily and you're like, where did I pull that out of?
Mm-hmm.
That's you channeling. Okay, so I feel like between them in your marriage, there's something that you don't have an answer to. And you're really trying to like use your intuition to get the answer with this. I don't know what this is, but I feel like it's timing. Like, how am I going to divide my time within the marriage with all these other things I have going on? That could be it. I don't think this is your marriage. I think I'm picking up on someone else that's been telling you about their marriage. That's what I'm feeling. I feel like someone's going through a hard time in their marriage. And that's what you're trying to get information on, to give them advice. And I'm seeing that something's going to happen really quickly and they're going to get their heart broken. It's not you. Someone very close to you, though. Is there someone that's already been telling you all those things? That sharing
Not a marriage, just be like a dating relationship.
It could be like, yeah, long term, like someone they've been dating for a long time as well. I think I just used the marriage lingo because I thought it was about you at first. Yeah, so I feel like that's coming, where they're going to find it's going to just, like an avalanche, and they're going to get their heart broken, and I feel like they're going to lean on you. So just know that, like, when they're giving you all this advice, or when they're telling you all these things, and you're like, I just want to give them advice, I just don't know how, like, just know that you don't need to, because it's Spirit saying the answer is to be told by them in divine timing. There's nothing you have to do to give them the answer, because they have it all planned out, and it's going to all flow, and they're not going to be together. They're not going to be together. And this girl's going to have her boy, whatever. They're going to have their heart broken, but it's going to be okay. It's happening. It's unfolding the way it's supposed to. So, obviously that came out for a reason. I think you're supposed to know that. Your dad's going to be okay financially. I don't know if that's something you're worried about, but I just heard that as well. Is he starting something new?
He's starting school.
Okay.
He's going back to college.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So he's going to do good with whatever it is that he's pursuing. Money's not going to be an issue. And he's going to really like it. This is a new beginning for him.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, he feels like there's like all this weight lifted off of him, and he's going to do really good at it. Is he single? Because he might, this is the marriage card. He might meet someone there, and that could actually be his next marriage.
Wow.
Yeah. So, okay, that's kind of what I'm feeling for you.
Yeah.
So
can I give feedback over, like, what you all said?
Yeah.
So
please do. That's my favorite part.
I mean, I feel like all of it makes sense as to where my head has been at. Like, I am a strong, or what was it, like, strong with my words, or outspoken, or something. I've definitely become that, for sure. And then, like, ambitious, yes, I've always been a go-getter with that. But then, like, the kid thing that you were talking about, and you said after school, and you said not necessarily, like, a teaching thing, like, at school, whatever, after. So I've really been struggling with trying to figure out if and when, it's no longer a matter of if, it's when I should go help, like, with youth groups at the church. Because I've always wanted to do it. Like, my heart has wanted to do that, even though I'm not, like, crazy confident with the Bible. You know, it's like I don't want to be, like, in charge of leading anything in that sense right now in my life at all. But, like, I've always felt called to do something like that. And I have really good Jen, for example, like, she's really good friends that are, like, she's really invested in that, and just seeing the fulfillment that it brings her. But I've always been so busy. I've always had so many, you know, my college teaching jobs, my doctorate, like, all these things. And so I'm like, the last thing I want to do on a Wednesday after work and working with kids all day is go see all of them again. No offense.
Yes.
For 3 hours or however long it is. It's more than, like, an hour long. And so just the justification of, like, I'm not emotionally and mentally able to do that. At that point I wasn't, and for the past 8 years of teaching I haven't been able to, because I was coaching too. Like, I just never had the mental health availability and emotional health to do that. And now I've quit all of my side jobs. I'm literally just teaching my full-time job. I don't have anything. And so I was talking to Jen about it the other day. I'm like, I really want to sign up and volunteer. Like, there's still something that's, like, pausing me. Like, I don't feel like 100% there, but I think it's just the fear of, like, again, I'm exhausted after school, and I don't want to go, and, like, I don't want to be crabby, you know, towards kids and, you know, whatever. Like, I wish I had a more positive outlook on it, because I really want to do it. I know that would make me feel good to be part of something like that. And she gave me really good advice, and she was like, if you feel hesitancy heavily, she's like, it's not the time. And she's like, don't do it. And she's like, you're starting your doctorate back up in February, and I have to finish this degree, like, this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, by the end of this year, 2024, I have to finish it. And she's like, then that might need to be your priority, like, this year. And she's like, or just give it a couple months. She said, maybe wait and just see how you feel and how the flow
Yeah,
of
because
things
it said March.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, just wait and see how it goes. And she's like, there's no rush with it. And she just really gave me, like, powerful advice about it. But
that's crazy.
was exactly, we just had that conversation.
I mean, you're going to do it, obviously.
Yeah.
It came out in the reading.
And the words that you said, it's going to bring you emotional fulfillment, that is verbatim how she described it. She's like, Courtney, like, there are so many times that when I'm headed there, like, after I'm home for, like, an hour and a half with my kids and getting dinner ready before I leave to get there at 6, she goes, when I'm driving there, there's a lot of times that I'm just like, ugh, you know, like, I'm exhausted, you know, I'm just not in the mood or whatever. But the moment I get there and I'm in it, she's like, it's just like, she goes, it's an adrenaline rush. Like, it's just this wave of, like, she goes, it's fulfillment. She's like, I'm never more filled up in my life than after I leave that, kind of a thing.
Yeah. And I think you will be, like the reading said, I think you will be. You'll have a lot on your back, but the payoff is going to be so wonderful that it'll be worth it.
Yeah. And I love how you emphasize the emotional fulfillment. Like, you didn't mention, like, money or anything like that, because that's not what that's about. Like, it's not like a new thing after school that, like, I'm getting paid for. It's something that I'm genuinely exploring for your moral compass and, like, helping other, whatever. I don't know. I thought that was, like, that's the first thing that hit me when you said that, because we just had that conversation.
Oh, that's pretty crazy.
And then the marriage boyfriend situation, I talked with a good friend of mine that is going through a lot in a dating relationship, and I shared my opinions on it and advice, but how you just said, like, your advice is not gonna matter, and it's like, I knew that, like, even though it's almost like when people come to you, even though you like, I can tell when people just need to talk, as opposed to, like, if they're really needing something. And I could tell that this person was not asking my advice, because I remember saying, like, I know you're not asking for it, but, like, something just came to my mind, and I would just kind of share something, but I knew to my core that, like, none of that mattered. Like, I can talk, but it's just not knocking that human being at all. Like, I've been there before. Like, you just want to talk and vent, and you don't care what anyone has to say to you, because you can't hear it. You can't. Yeah. You're not in a position to receive that. And so how you just explained, like, it's divine timing. Like, unfortunately, this is the route it's going to go, but, like, also not unfortunately, it's the way it's supposed to. So just be prepared. And I very much am. So that was just very validating. And I only have one person
that fits for?
Yes. It's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was the end. That was the last thing. Oh,
my dad.
Then your dad, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. He literally is starting school, like, in a week and a half. Like,
in a week. So, yeah, this is, like, on point then.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
He is so excited. And I don't think he'll ever get married again. He doesn't want to get, like, legally married. But a companion, if he met someone, I'm sure he'd be open to it down the road.
We'll see.
Yep. That's so crazy. Yeah, he's very ambitious. Like, whatever he gets his certificates in and degrees in at school, I'm sure he will use it financially, for sure.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to let him know that he came through in the reading, and to be excited about what's to come, you know?
Yes.
That's really cool.
That is really, really cool. So I want to ask you, so today's episode is spiritual health, and we're going to highlight really, like, spiritual awakenings and a couple of particular things about that. Maybe, like, what it is, like, in your own experience and what your thoughts are. Like, we don't have to do, like, a definition verbatim, but, like, kind of what you think it is. Maybe any experiences you've had with it, like how to navigate it, you know, how to recognize it.
Yes.
And then how to navigate it.
So as far as, like, a spiritual awakening, I would say that the very first and foremost is that you're just super interested in spirituality or near-death experiences or metaphysical or psychics, like ghost, everything. There's something happens where you can't get enough of it. So that actually happened to me when I was 19 years old, and my grandma died. And she was the first death that made me really kind of, like, question, like, what does happen when we die? Because my family's always been spiritual, but we never, like, went to church or anything. So it wasn't, like, engraved in our head, like, this is what happens. You know, I was kind of like, which I was glad because it made me kind of question instead of just following blindly. It made me question like what really does happen. So that's when I got super curious about near-death experiences, mediumship, that kind of thing. And I got my hands on like every single book. I could not get enough. I'd read it. Yeah. So that started when I was 19 and I'm 32 now. So it's been a long time coming. So that is actually what opened me up spiritually to like metaphysical things. And then I got into mediumship and reading every single medium's memoir out there. Like, how did they get into it? You know? And I remember thinking, like, that is so cool that they can do that. I wish I could do that. That'd be, like, my dream job. And so, fast forward, you know, in the meantime, I'm super into it, but I don't know that I have this gift myself, right? So, fast forward to when I'm having my first baby, and after she was born, this was 4 years ago, I had a C-section, and I had just a very bad experience. And I started feeling energy. And it came to me in the form of anxiety, really bad anxiety. But I wouldn't be thinking anything. And that's the key point there, because I feel like a lot of people have anxiety. And I don't want people to think like, oh, my anxiety is me talking to spirit, because that's really not the case. The key thing that made me realize something else was going on was that I wasn't thinking anything. My mind would be, or I could be in a great mood, and all of a sudden I get this weird feeling, and then I would think, this is what this is about, you know? And then I was like, why do I keep getting these weird feelings? And I just thought, like, you know, I just had a baby. So, just weird things, like it's anxiety, you know? And it actually took me 2 years after having her to even realize what was happening. And it all began when my mother-in-law gave me a set of tarot cards at Christmas. I didn't ask for them. It was just, it was a synchronicity, because this is what I was meant to do. So she gave, the tarot cards found me. And
was it that exact?
It was that deck. Yes, that's my first deck. They always say that. They say that you're not supposed to buy your own tarot cards. They're supposed to be gifted to you, but they're supposed to find you.
Shut up.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Goosebumps.
That's a thing. So those found me. And those are the ones that I have been using ever since. I mean, I have other decks, but that's my favorite deck, because, you know, that's like my deck. But yes, I just began reading people for fun, like family and friends, and everyone's like, wait, that's weird. That's weirdly accurate. And then I was like, yeah, but I know you. I was like, I'm biased. Like, I kind of know you, so I can read you really well. And then I had the idea, after so many people told me how accurate it was, I was like, I'm going to get on TikTok and read strangers, because if I can get it right with strangers that I have no idea anything about, then maybe I'll believe that I have something going on here. So then I got on TikTok and offered free readings. Because again, I don't even realize that I can do this. So I offered free readings, and overnight I got 1,000 followers and 1,000 people wanting a free reading.
Oh my gosh, I remember this. It's all coming back to me, because I was like, what?
So then I was like, oh my gosh. I'm a stay-at-home mom during all this. So I'm like, I don't have time to do 1,000 readings, you know? So then I was like, okay, we got to figure this out. So then I started charging for readings. And it was a very affordable price. And I started getting people booking readings. And then it was the feedback that I was really wanting, just like how we did here. That's the best part for me. It's just because it still amazes me every time.
Yeah.
Like, even after doing it so many times. But yeah, the feedback, everyone would be like, oh my gosh, that's right. And I'm like, then I got kind of like that aha moment. Like, I really am doing this. Oh my God. Like, it's so exciting and thrilling. But it really sparked my curiosity. Like, how good can I get at this? Like, now that I know that I'm doing it, you know? So it just grew and went crazy. And I have over 300,000 followers now. And I do this for a living. I mean, I'm still a stay-at-home mom, but, you know, I make time to do my readings. And in all of that, I realized that I was also a medium. And that was a synchronistic experience as well. Someone came to me and I offered them, I just felt drawn to give them a free reading, and they just so happened to ask me if I do medium readings. And I was like, no, but I can try. And then someone came through. And then I was like, okay, TikTok, like, I'm going to get on TikTok, see if I can really do that. And so I offered free mediumship readings. And everything started coming through, just like it did the first time. So, yeah, now there's no doubt in my mind of what I'm doing. But yeah, I've helped people like locally who live, you know, around me. I help them with like really extreme grief that they're going through. I'll give them readings like I gave someone a reading where their son was murdered, you know.
Yep.
I've actually given 2 readings with victims who were victims of murder. Murder finds me through spirit. Those are the only ones I've done, like, you know. But yeah, so anyways, that's kind of how it all unfolded.
Well, which is super interesting because we met in college. We had, like, our freshman year of college. Had a biology class together, and you were going to school for radio, right?
Yes, broadcast.
And you have your degree in that. Oh. And you graduated, like, that's what you got your degree in. And so back then, we were, 18 to, like, 20 range, 18 to 22?
Yeah, I had no idea that it was going to lead to TikTok.
Right. Which is, you can still, in a way, you're, like, using your degree with just your speaking and your articulation on camera or all that stuff. So it's like,
yeah, this is
in a weird way, like, you are, it's not like that was a complete waste. But, like, you could be a terrible speaker. Like, you might have a gift, but, like, you could have been a terrible speaker.
This is
that
true.
Degree really helped shape.
Yeah, like, maybe that was one of the universe's ways of, you know, getting me ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always feel like there's the flow of the river, right? And we're on our little inner tube and we're just flowing down the river. And, you know, we always arrive exactly when we're supposed to.
Yeah.
At each stage of the river.
Yep. Well, and that's what's so fascinating, too, about you, and is because, like, you had no idea back then. You pursued college, you know, you went through the societal norms, got your degree. Like, you weren't, like, gung-ho passionate about, because I remember we would talk about this back in college. Like, I'd be like, what do you want to do? Like, you know, I for example, was, like, a teacher. I knew exactly the calling I had, I wanted to do, and, like, you were always ambitious. Like, you always had dreams and aspirations, but, like, you never were, like, yes, like, this is what I'm going to use the degree for. I'm, like, I knew the moment I started college, right? Like, you were always just go with the flow, and not only about your academics, but also just life. I remember still to this day, as a friend in my life, a great friend in my life, like, you are the friend in my life out of the plethora that I feel like I have that is just the most zen. Like, anytime I describe you to my other girlfriends, if they don't know you, like, I'm always like, oh my gosh, zen is one of the words I always say. Calm. She's just so even keel. She just goes with the flow. Like, she is just, like, her energy, her aura, when you're with her, you're okay.
Well, thank you.
The best way to describe you. But you've always also been very intuitive. Like, when we'd hang out as teenagers and
yeah,
adults,
I do remember that. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, you would always we'd talk about boys and, like, give me dating advice, and what you just knew so spot on. Like, ew, no, don't waste your time on this person, or you know, nope, they're like, you were just so clear cut about everything with everyone, all of our friends. Like, you just would sit in the hot tub and you'd be like, nope, it's not gonna work.
The hot tub while it rained.
Yep. I just remember, like, that's who you are, and so it's so funny, like, knowing that that's who you are still to this day, but back then, as a young evolving adult in society,
it was, like, peeking out a little bit.
Yes. Yes. Like,
but
so
timing, though, you know.
Yep.
Like, for some reason, I was not meant to do it until
now.
Then, you know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I feel like it's just growing, you know, and it'll unfold how it's supposed to as time goes on, as well.
So, how would you say, like, we're talking about spirituality, like, and your interest with it. So we started this episode off with you giving me a reading, which is just so fun. I love it so much. It's almost like I love watching you do what you do more than, like, the outcome of it. I just get so excited.
You're probably very intuitive, and you can just feel the energy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. I love it. But how did you grow this? Like you said, you read books. You know, we've been friends forever, and, like, I know a lot of how you evolved, but, like, you took me to, what was that class that we went to a couple of months ago? It was, like, a crystal chakra, I don't know, I remember what it was, like,
crystal balls.
Yes,
that was meditation. Yeah.
You have always tried to tell me, like, if I've been stressed or high strung, you've just been like, just meditate, blah blah blah, and I'm like, if I would, I freaking could. Or if I could, I would. Like,
yeah.
I can't calm down enough, but you've always had that gift of just totally clearing your mind and ability to do so. How would you, and I think that's a huge part of spirituality, and, like, in order to really receive a spiritual awakening and recognize it and be able to act on it, I feel like you, in a way, have to be able to get yourself in that space. How do you do that?
So I would say it's easier than you think, and you're getting messages more than you think. So, and what I mean by this is that it's so subtle, and it's the still small voice inside of you. So, and you can meditate. I know a lot of people think like, I don't have time to meditate, or I can't clear my mind. And there are many different ways to, it's getting to that headspace. So for some people, that's cleaning their house. And it's the repetitive motion of like sweeping, or, going on a walk, or taking a bath, or even just listening to music, or just driving. I'll get a lot of downloads when I'm driving. Because it's kind of like a mindless thing. It's anything that you can do that's mindless, Any kind of repetitive thing that you can do that's mindless, you're going to get in that headspace. Gardening. I mean, the list goes on. A lot of people, when they're doing their hobbies, it comes out, But it's just thoughts that pop in your head. So whenever you're doing these mindless activities, where does your mind take you? What daydreams are you receiving? Because the daydream, that's how I get a lot of my information. It comes to me like as a daydream, and I pay attention to the daydream, and what do I feel that daydream is telling me? Is it like symbolic, or is it literal? And you kind of have to watch the daydream, and what do you think? Use your intuition to tell you, is it literal? Is it symbolic? Is it for me? Is it for someone else? Or what thoughts are popping in my head? It's not something I've been thinking. There's a difference between you purposely thinking something and then you receiving a thought. The receiving a thought, it falls into your brain out of nowhere. Yeah. Or what is your gut telling you? Do you just have a knowing? And a lot of people are like, what's the difference between anxiety and intuition? And I say, anxiety has fear attached to it, and intuition, it's knowing. You don't even have to really think about it because you already know. You don't have to ask everyone what their opinion is because you know. It's a knowing. Yep. There's no one in the world that can tell you otherwise because you're like, I know this. Yep. It's as if someone else already told me. But, so those are just a few ways that you can really tap into that energy. Anyone could tap into that energy. We do it all the time. It's just so subtle, and it feels like you're doing it that you don't realize that you're actually receiving from something bigger.
Would you say, so I like how you described it as, you have to receive it, or you have to get in that clear headspace by doing whatever it is that is for you. Like for me, for example, cleaning is mindless work for me. I love tidying things up and, getting things done off of my to-do list. That's, that would be stressful for a lot of people, but to me it brings me peace, getting that stuff done. But I'll be listening to a podcast or music while I'm doing it, so I don't have that free space. I don't have the... I don't want to keep saying I don't have the ability, because I do. I'm just not exercising that ability. Yeah. Ever. There's always some type of chaos going on. I'm never just driving. I've tried, my mom has always been like, just try to drive to work without listening to anything and just see how that feels.
So I feel like the reason why you don't do that is because it comes through so loud that you don't want to hear it. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
With certain things.
It comes through very loud. But you probably just don't realize that that's what you're getting. You're probably thinking, I'm thinking this, or I'm feeling this. Yeah. And so I want to drown it out with music. And it's almost subconscious, because you don't sit in your car thinking, I don't want to think these things. I better put the music on. You're probably you're subconsciously, doing that. Yeah. I bet if you just, listen to what those things were, you wouldn't have to worry about it coming back.
That's so interesting. Well, and I also love, I admire you so much as a person, because, we're total opposites with personality. I'm super high-strung and all over the place. And, again, you're very zen and calm. We have a lot in common, too, but I feel like opposites attracted with this friendship. But it's I've always admired with you your ability to stay so both internally and externally calm during any hard things you've ever gone through, right? You're very resilient, and you've been through the ringer with lots of different things in life. We all have. But, your ability to just be it is what it is. Because I'd be how are you not stressing? Or just in college, or just little things. And we have a test, I'm freaking out. But and you're just it is what, you've always been so good. And that's not to say that you've never felt fear or anxiety. You've clearly tapped into those emotions. But as you've grown, especially in the spirituality aspect of your life, like, I feel like that has just maximized your ability even through the worst of worst times that you'll ever go through, right? And down the road, it's a strength. And I admire that.
Well, thank you. I don't know why I'm like that.
Well,
I mean, I'm not sure. I never like tried to be like that, but I think it's like, I just know it's gonna all be okay. Like whatever happens, I'm gonna get through it. We all do.
Yeah.
Unless you die.
It's your mindset, right?
I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, well, you know, this too shall pass, kind of thing.
Yep.
And if it's happening for a reason, or it wouldn't happen.
Exactly.
Like there's something I am needing from this. And also the mindset of nothing's ever happening to you; it's always happening for you. Every little thing that happens, and everything that actually happens to you is a neutral experience. It's just an experience. We attach negative or positive to it. So if you can always see the positive in it, then you'll always get the positive from it. So
that is so powerful.
Yeah.
And true. But I feel like devil's advocate, some people could hear that and be like, yeah, but if you're just always positive, like, you're not necessarily being realistic. You know, how would you counter that if someone were to challenge you and be like,
well, you could be realistic about something, like, this is what happened, you know, but it gets to the point where people don't let things go. And it's like, is there value in carrying that with you? You know, like, you know, for some people who had horrible things happening to them, and they just...
Bless you!
know,
that was so cute.
They've done the therapy. Well, how other... Like, what is there to be realistic about at that point? Like, yes, this happened to you. We all know it happened. That's being real. But what are we going to do about it? And that's where it's like, I can pull a negative from it, or I can... What do you want the rest of your life to look like? Like, yes, we all agree that happened. That was bad. This thing. But now what?
Yeah.
So I feel like people are saying, like, you're being too positive. You're not being realistic. That's when you can do something about it. That's when you can change things. That's when you should be realistic, you know? But if you have an event that happened and there's nothing you can do about it, it's just something that happened to you.
Yeah.
Then that's when you need to either attach a positive aspect or a negative aspect, and you're going to let it define the rest of your life.
I love that. Like, what I hear you saying when you describe it that way is like, bless your freaking heart. So cute. I haven't seen a little baby sneeze like that in so long.
He wants to be a part of this podcast, obviously.
Oh my gosh, you're in it. You're the star, my dude. Stella's just vibing. But what I'm hearing is, like, if you choose the positive, you're choosing to be proactive and grow through life like a student, you know, evolving. If we're choosing to be negative and see the negative, we're choosing victim. That's a really, like, would you agree that's kind of what it could be?
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. Like, just to coin it differently for other people to try to comprehend this. Like, I think that's really powerful.
Like, in a nutshell.
Because that's the truth.
Yeah.
Like, you can sit here and be a victim. Like, it's okay to feel the feels if you're going through something rough. Like, you need to, right? Like, I think we can all agree to that. Like, yes, it hurts. Nobody wants to grieve. Nobody wants to mourn. But you have to acknowledge those feelings, tap into them for a little bit. But the question is, how long are you going to allow that to control your life and you be a victim to it and pity party? Like, when you're going to start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, that's fascinating. And that is a true testament to who you are. Again, like, how I've known you for what? Since you were 18, we're 31. How old are you? You're 30. You'll be 33. We'll be 33 this year. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So yeah, we've known each other for many, many years, and like, you've always been that way. You've always seen the positive, which I feel like people who know me very well, I've always been like, oh, she's so happy-go-lucky, like, blah, 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 like, she's so positive, you know, a lot of people would say that, but behind closed doors, like, when I'm home with my husband, like, he gets the victim mode, like, version of the story, like, you know, it's so easy to just let go and be vulnerable with someone, but I feel like I am more positive than I'm negative with things, but I've definitely played into that. I don't remember you ever being in victim mode. Truly, I can't think of a time because you've always just been like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm just a chill little lady. I feel like it's also, you know, you can use what happens to you as fuel to get where you want to go. You know, like, if you feel like a victim, you could use that as fuel and be like, I will never be a victim again. and you can make yourself powerful. Mm-hmm. Like, what can I change to make sure this never happens again to me? Mm-hmm. That's a positive way while being realistic.
Yeah.
Right. Or you could go the negative route and be like, boo-hoo, I am always the victim. Woe is me. And that is being realistic because you're focusing on this bad thing happened, but then you're taking it the negative route.
Yeah. Yep.
So.
Yeah, that's very true. No, it's all very enlightening. I just love how you describe that. That's really powerful. Another question I have is on this realm of like spiritual awakening, and how would you define that? Like, again, nothing verbatim out of a dictionary, but like if someone were to, well, I'm asking you, what is a spiritual awakening to you? What does that mean to you?
To me personally, I think a spiritual awakening is really breaking away from what other people define and put into boxes as right and wrong. If you're really going to look at it a different way. And I feel like it's more of like using your own guidance system within and feeling energy and being open to other things guiding you. Mm-hmm. A spiritual awakening is you're realizing there's more to life than physicality. But I also feel like it's more of like, a lot of people, they trust religion and like they trust other people to tell them what's right and wrong. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's the basis of a spiritual awakening, is realizing you have the power within, through your own guidance system, And I feel like that's the big takeaway I want people to know is always follow your own intuition. You have the power. You don't need to listen to a priest or a pastor. What feels right to you, And I feel like that's the big thing with the spiritual awakening, is realizing that we have the power within. Mm-hmm. So.
Right. Well, and like when you say the power within, is that how, like you've said in the past, you've kind of described it to me in the past, your perception of it anyway, of like your spirit guides. That's your spirit guides telling you internally.
Yes.
Is that what you still mean?
Yeah. And a lot of people use different lingo. So whatever lingo works for you. Some people like to call them guardian angels. Some people like to call them spirit guides. Some people like to just say source or God
high power.
Yeah, or high power.
Yep.
So there's no like, and this is what I'm talking about, like with not fitting in different boxes. It's whatever, it's energy, So whatever you want to define that energy is fine, and that energy will go with that lingo and show you synchronicities that define your belief system. But I feel like that's the basis, is that, you're communicating with energy.
Yeah.
And that's your guidance system. If it feels like bliss, if it feels exciting, if it feels like your passion, that's spirit telling you that's the path you need to go down. That's how they communicate to you. And a lot of people, they just create these beliefs of why they can't do it. And that's what causes a lot of unhappiness in life.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, and I remember and you shared earlier, that you weren't raised with like religion or church necessarily. Mm-hmm. But like you've told me that there have been a few times where you've heard like God's, like a voice from, like you've said God before, like, cause you've said like that's the only thing I can think of. Mm-hmm. Like, was that guided you to feel a certain way that was good, or like, so do you still feel today that you get spirit guides, God sometimes, or like how would you define what those sources are for you? Are they kind of all different, or?
Like when I'm channeling a message, you mean?
Yeah, either that or like when something just hits you.
When something hits me, you know what? Whenever something hits me, I feel like it's myself remembering what I already know. So I don't know if you've heard this, but everything's happening all at once. Mm-hmm. Like your whole life has already played out. But there's many different timelines that you could go down. But every single timeline exists now, right? And so I almost feel like whenever you get that download of like, oh my gosh, it's a hit, about your own life, it's you remembering something that's already played out. I know it's kind of weird because it's like, oh, we're on a timeline. It hasn't happened yet. How can I remember the future? Mm-hmm. But everything's happening at once. And so I almost feel like it's like your energy like picking up on like something that it remembers is going to happen.
Interesting.
Yeah. But with somebody else, I feel like I'm talking to their spirit guides. Mm-hmm. Like when I'm talking to somebody else, it's just like, I feel like there's like these little, they're just sending me things, and then all my different senses are picking up the answer in different ways.
Yep.
So when it's with my own life, I feel like it's just me remembering. But when it's others, I feel like I'm talking to their spirit guides.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you said multiple things of like how you've experienced things, but also maybe over time, like you've evolved in your perception of it into this now, of what that is. Because in the past, you've been very like, oh, it was a God, or it was God's voice, or it was my guardian angels, or it was my grandma sending me a message. Like you knew, like you had this feeling in those exact moments that this is what I felt. I think that's just so interesting. Because I watched church online yesterday, and the message was like how to hear God's voice. Like how do you know His will for you? That's what the whole series is. Like how do you know what God's will for you is? And it talked about different ways that you can hear God, and like most rare form is an actual voice. Like rarely ever do you hear a deep, description of God's voice, telling you to do something. But they talked about angels in that sense of like a guardian angel, but the pastor mentioned that, it could come in different forms. Like most people resonate with angels, guardian angels. I don't remember verbatim what else he had said because I connected with like guardian angels type of thing. But I think that could be similar to what your experience is, just a different way of how you experience it, not necessarily one thing. It's kind of like how in like Alcohol Anonymous meetings or, Narcotics Anonymous, like they say, like they never just say pray to God. They always say, what's your higher power? Roll with it. Like we're not here to put you in a box and judge you and make you feel a certain way. But if God's your higher power, freaking awesome. Like we accept it. If it's not, and this tree over here is your higher power, then like go ahead and worship that. It's just interesting because it's like it doesn't matter who you receive messages from as long as the messages make you feel like you're going down the right path. Passion, love, positive things.
Absolutely.
I think that's important. Very, very important. Because we also, mainly me 100%, but I think that you can agree to this a little bit, like we were very much addicted to psychics for a short period of time. Maybe a long period of time.
I still am.
It's so interesting.
I love getting a reading. Because now, especially that I do this, and you probably just experienced it also, so you already know what I'm going to say. When you get a reading, there is like this energy happening, and it feels so good. Like when you're talking to a real psychic. Like now I can spot the fake ones because I don't feel that. And I'm like, okay, now I know what's happening here.
Yep.
But when you're talking to a real psychic, the energy, you can feel spirit in the room. That's that feeling, that calm, peaceful, like, you could feel spirit in the room. And that's why it's addicting to get them, I mean, it's also fun to just know what's going to happen for you, but it's more of just the feeling of connecting and having that, like, energy in the room.
Yep.
So.
Well, and what I love, too, because, I mean, you know me, like, I believe in God, and I have that side of things, and I've had mentors in my life who are very religious and big into that, who have told me, like, don't go to psychics, like, absolutely don't go to a medium, like, the Bible warns against that. And I don't know the Bible verbatim by any means. I'm, like, completely brand new to it. In fact, like, I don't read it often at all, but, so I don't know verbatim what it says about it. I think I remember seeing, like, online, like, a scripture piece that specifically just said, like, do not talk, or, like, don't trust messages from psychics or mediums because God is the only source, something like that. And I can see on that side of things, like, why people who are followers and believers would feel that way. Like, no way, like, only my God. I'm open-minded to the other end of the spectrum because of you. It's like, but what if it's a genuine gift? Like, this is a God-given gift or whatever higher power-given gift to you. And, like, I want you to kind of speak to that really briefly or however long you want to. But it's like, how did you know that this was your God-given gift, or like you were meant to do this despite whatever people's judgments were?
So the first and foremost, is this strong passion and desire to fulfill it. So there is nothing that could stop me from doing this. Like, if somebody was like, your house is going to blow away tomorrow if you keep doing it, I'd be like, okay, I can't not do it. Wow. It's what I'm meant to do. That's first and foremost. But also, there are a lot of scammers out there. So as far as, like, should we just go to tarot readers and psychics? The answer is no. because there are scammers out there. You need to make sure you're, that's why I'm saying you need to follow your intuition and make sure you're being pulled to the right one. But first and foremost, if you're providing love and healing, then it's from God.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
So, and that's how I knew I was supposed to be doing this. Whenever I'd give my readings and I'd receive the feedback, the thank yous that you helped me so much, or if I do a medium reading and I got to connect those people one last time and show them that there is something else out there and the healing that provided them. Because like I said, I do kind of heavy mediumship for people who have had some, heartbreaking losses.
Yeah.
I mean, every loss is a heartbreak, but,
right.
Some of those big ones, the healing that I gave those people, that's from God. It could be from nothing else,
Yeah.
So that's how I knew that, although, sometimes, the man wrote the Bible, so, we had to, that's why I'm saying, like, you got to go within your own guidance system.
Yep.
What is your own heart telling you to do? Because that's what you need to do, and that's the big takeaway, is always listen to your own guidance system.
Yep.
At the end of the day, there's nobody else that you should be following blindly.
Yep.
Question everything.
Yeah.
Well,
and I think, again, that's very telling with, like, what you're doing, because, that's what we learn in church, and that's what we learn with mentorship, is, like, our role on this planet is to help others and to love others and to treat everyone with love and respect and make everyone feel love and all these things. And that's why we go to school, to find a job that's fulfilling. Well, what does fulfilling mean? Well, like, you're helping other people. That's why so many people are depressed in their careers or just feel so lost, because they're not getting that sense of fulfillment. Sitting at a desk, customer service all day. I don't know, I'm making that up. That could be very fulfilling, but you know what I mean. And I know a lot of people that have been down that path of just, like, giving up because they're not feeling that fulfillment. And I think that's what fulfillment equals, is helping others and healing in any way. And I think that's what sets you apart in my eyes. Like, again, we both were addicted. I was very much addicted to psychics. I probably talked to many scammers whenever we first got into it.
But see, by looking back at those messages they gave you, did they provide love or healing?
They all did. Yeah.
No, they gave you instant gratification.
Hope and intimate, yes, they did. They gave me instant gratification for sure, because it was like a 4-year thing.
But not love and healing, I would say.
No, it gave me, like, hope.
Yeah.
But it gave me, I think the reason it was the addiction piece, and this is where it's bad, right? Because being addicted to anything is not good, no matter, like, fitness, whatever. This is how, looking back on it, compared to you and your gift and abilities, that's genuine and organic, is I knew I was addicted to that because they kept wanting me to come back. Like, they would leave me on a cliffhanger, or they would...
Instant gratification.
Yes.
Like tell me what I want to know.
Yep.
But you're not giving anything else with it.
Yeah. And so I would just be like, oh my gosh, okay, like, they validated me, like, my feelings are accurate about this situation. And then, in my mind, I feel like I created false scenarios just because of what they told me. Or it's like I manifested thoughts that weren't my reality at times, for sure. And you know what situation I'm talking about for 4 years. But the other side of it was all very true. Like, I knew my intuition, my genuine, like, spirit guides or God telling me, like, I knew what was right and what wasn't, and what was real and what was not. But that addiction feeling was so unhealthy. I mean,
I think you would be really good at reading tarot, because you're really intuitive. I don't think you realize how intuitive you are. You get messages all the time. You block them out a lot.
Yeah.
Did you know that, though?
I know I'm intuitive, and I know that I think intuitive, yes. I think empathy and absorbing other people's feelings and emotions, I know for a fact I am, almost to a fault. Like, if you started crying right now, I would be like, like, I would just feel your pain.
But I think that you get messages, you just don't know how to channel them into a message.
Because I don't calm down enough. Like, I'm not, again, that headspace is not free.
I think if you had a tool to, like, what am I getting? How can I make sense of it? You'd amaze yourself.
I think, and I think that could go for anyone, too. Like, like you said earlier, you think everybody has this gift.
Everyone does have this gift, yes. I mean, it's energy. We are energy. So to say that you can't read energy, well, right. I mean, a 5-year-old can read but also a professor can read. So we're all on a spectrum of like how well we can read the energy, but everyone can read energy if you're just taught how to do it.
Yeah, just like anything. It's like muscle memory.
Yes.
What you put time towards, you'll develop. I believe that. You've always told me that I was intuitive. I just don't think I'd be confident like you. People wouldn't take me seriously.
But with your own your own matters in life, to tap into like your own intuition to know a little bit more than you do, I think you'd surprise yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it is all very, very fascinating. But it is. It's been a really cool journey with you to see how you've evolved and like how you've channeled this into like your genuine gift and how you help people. And, you know, so one thing that you said earlier that I just kind of want to expand more upon, how you said that like when you had Lacey, your first baby, and you felt anxiety, but looking back on that, you now know that that was kind of like your first experiences of, would you say a spiritual awakening? Or like explain that situation again a little bit more.
I think, so my spiritual awakening, I feel like that happened when I was 19. When I had this intense question of what else is out there. That's the spiritual awakening. That's like, it's just intense. Like I have to know the answer. And something usually triggers that. So for me, it was death. It was grieving a loss of my grandma. So usually something like that will happen to where it makes you question everything. What happened after I had my first child was, I would call that kind of like having a psychic awakening. That's when I realized I was psychic. I mean, and you know, I've talked to other spiritual teachers who say that childbirth, you know, can trigger like a psychic awakening. It's moving energy in your body. Going through an intense experience of any kind can also trigger it, like near-death experiences. It's not the near-death. It's not like actually it's not the dying part, because I feel like a lot of people are like, I have to die to become a psychic or a medium. And no, it's the intense trauma that comes with it. So some people who just go through any traumatic event can become one, because it's like you're moving energy in your body. Like, it's kind of hard to explain. But if you know, being depressed for a very long time and then coming out of that could have a psychic awakening as well. You know, I know people that have had that happen as well. So it's different for everybody. You know, everyone has a different story of, you know, what leads them to it. But I would say the most thing is like, are you interested in this stuff first and foremost? If you can't get your hands off of spiritual books, if you just have this like, I got to know what else is out there, that's your spiritual awakening. You know. Oh. Are you done? Are you done?
He's like, I'm sick of this crap.
I think he's getting
I think it's, but you said something earlier like in the beginning, you mentioned how like it's you know, spirituality is more than just this box that we're in. It's like a desire to learn about beyond just pretty much what I was thinking was like the conformity of the conformity trap that society stereotypically puts us in at all times. And like, to me, that's what spirituality is too. It's like something way bigger than yourself. It's not just Groundhog Day over and over.
Yes. And you know, I feel like some people are like, oh, I'm spiritual, I can't do this. And no. Spirituality is just kind of like just knowing that, you know, just everything's energy. Yeah. In a nutshell, you know, and just trusting what comes. And
I just did an episode on spirituality, like my faith journey, and like I did differentiate the two terms of spirituality and religion. And religion is simply like a practice that you're doing consistently, like worshiping on Sundays or whatever. It's like this cycle that you do to honor or worship something bigger than yourself, with God, higher power, whatever. It's a ritual practice of what you believe in. And then spirituality was meaning of life, purpose, like realistically, like something bigger than you. Like there's just more to life than the norm, going to school, getting a degree, working and dying, and you know.
Yeah, I feel like the big difference that I would define it as, religion is finding the answers from others, and spirituality is finding the answers within.
That's a really interesting perspective. Very interesting. I could definitely see that for sure. Because I think people would argue that and just be like, well, But what's the within? We kind of talked about that earlier. It's like, is it a higher power telling you? Is it your spirit guides? Or is it you? And you just kind of described it earlier of like, it's you remembering. Mm-hmm. You know, it's all kind of down. I like how you call it downloading. Like it's coming to you suddenly and you're just acting on it finally in a way or following it.
Yeah.
No, I think that's very interesting. Very, very interesting. So my last question with this spiritual awakening thing is kind of like, how would you guide someone to navigate, like if they have a spiritual awakening and they realize it, or maybe like that hits them, like they just feel so passionate, like you said, or compelled. Like I know that I've had several spiritual awakenings and it was just like an adrenaline rush of overwhelmingly beautiful and positive vibes and feeling, energy, essentially. One of the first ones I ever had was in Arizona with one of my really good friends, Bree. We were literally sitting on top of Camelback Mountain, just like overlooking the Arizona's landscape, and it was just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. It like took my breath away, and in that moment I just felt inspired, not in a creative way, like I don't even know how to describe it.
You just tapped into heaven in that moment.
Yeah, that's the best. It was a really good way of saying that. Yeah. And I just was curious.
You got to see Arizona through heaven's eyes in that moment.
Oh,
that's what that was.
That gave me goosebumps. That was really, really powerful.
That's what that was.
Yeah. But everybody has a different experience. So how would you tell someone or advise somebody like on how to navigate that big feeling? Because that's what it is. It can be a very big feeling when you're having one.
I would say as long as the feeling is positive, then keep going with it and see where it takes you. Also, do not stick to one spiritual teacher. Get your hands on as many different spiritual teachers as you can. They're all going to give you something different, and you need to figure out what your truth is. Because everyone talks in a different language, but it doesn't mean anyone's wrong. It's just you have to figure out what your language is. Mm-hmm. So if you're going through a spiritual awakening, get your hands on as many different books as you can, or as
resources,
or YouTube clips of different teachers. Listen to it all and figure out what your truth is. What do you feel aligns with your beliefs the best? And then at the end of the day, always listen to your own intuition. You know. But yeah, I would say as long as it's a positive feeling, then just go with it. See where it takes you. If it's a negative feeling, then pull back.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. That really is kind of like your life motto. I feel like that's what you've always done, even with like the simplest of things. Like if it's a friend, or back in our teenage years, just like dating, right? Like if you had one red flag, but you just were smart about it. Like you weren't crazy. Like when I say crazy, I mean like, oh, a red flag, they suck. Absolutely no, like run away. But like you were just very aware of like, that's a red flag for that friend or that person, that adult, and like it's a red flag enough that makes me uncomfortable that like I'm gonna step back. Like you wouldn't say that, but that was my intuition with you because you modeled it. Like
this is true.
You would be like, meh. You never gossiped. You were so good. Like you've never had the heart of like bashing people. You've been so respectful. That's just who you are with your nature. But like it was very clear when you were following your instinct. You're like, no, I'm good. Like let's go do, you know. It's cool.
I think it's just like it's like a mismatch of energy. It's that simple. It's like, oh, there's no pull to be around that person. It's because our energy is not the same.
Yeah.
You know, more of like a why it was so easy to do. You know. So, that's interesting to see the timeline of things, of how it's evolved. You know.
Yes.
Since you have known me.
Right. You know, it really is. And I think like a good ending point too, to tie in like everything, is the bottom line of the spiritual awakening and navigating it or recognizing it and how to like handle it and act on it is bullet pointing what you said. If it's not positive, if it's not healing you, if it's not serving others in a positive way, it goes to that same sermon that we just listened to the other day, like God's will for you or whatever, you know, divine higher power is for someone else. If they're not religious, it's like, bottom line is if it's not serving you, serving others, making you happy, making others happy, if it's causing harm, if the selfishness in the decision is so strong that it could be hurting a lot of other people. Like, and that's intuition. Like, you have to tap into that and like ask yourself those questions, whether it be making a career choice, right? Like, are you doing it just for money? What is that money going to bring you? Like, are you going to be absolutely miserable and that's going to be harming you? Like, your well-being, even though you're making buku bucks, like, is it going to be impacting your family negatively because you're in a bad mood and you're sick because of it? Or is it fulfilling you? A friendship, a dating relationship, right?
See, with all those things, a lot of people they think they know what they want because they focus so much on what they think they want instead of thinking about how they want to feel when they have it.
I love that.
So if they just focused on how they want to feel when they had such thing, the universe would get it right every time.
Yep.
And it would save people a lot of heartache.
Love that.
So, for example, it's like, if I want to be in a relationship, it's like, okay, you just want a boyfriend. But, okay, how do you want to feel when you have that boyfriend? You want to feel safe, secure, passion, excitement, ease. You want it to be easy.
Yep.
And that's with anything.
Yeah,
so,
literally.
And that's just a manifesting thing. That's just, because it's energy.
Yep.
So you gotta figure out what that energy is that you want to feel, and you gotta conjure it up within you, and then the universe takes it away, and then divine timing brings it to you.
I love it. As we wrap up this enlightening journey into spiritual awakening, it's time for the Level Up segment where we share with you 5 pieces of advice, extracted straight from our conversation today with Brianna. Number 1, embrace the uniqueness of your journey. Remember, everyone's spiritual awakening experience varies. Tune into your own intuitions and inner voices, recognizing that your path is uniquely yours. Avoid the trap of comparing your journey to others. It's a personal exploration that unfolds in its own time and way. Number 2, discern the true nature of awakening. If your spiritual awakening causes fear, it may not be a genuine awakening. True awakening is a transformative journey that sparks purpose, excitement, passion, and a determination to pursue positive change. It should be a healing and loving experience, both for yourself and others. Trust in the uplifting energy that accompanies genuine spiritual growth. Number 3, cultivate mindful presence. Practice mindfulness in your daily life. Whether through meditation, deep breathing, or simply being fully present in each moment, cultivating mindfulness enhances your connection to the spiritual realm. Allow yourself the gift of being fully present, fostering a deeper understanding of your inner self and the world around you. Number 4, nurture self-compassion. During your spiritual awakening, be gentle with yourself. Nurture self-compassion and self-love as you navigate the complexities of your inner world. Embrace the process of growth, acknowledging that each step forward is a victory. Treat yourself with the same kindness that you extend to others. And number 5, integrate spiritual insights into daily life. Take the lessons learned during your spiritual awakening and integrate them into your daily life. Apply the newfound wisdom to foster positive relationships, to pursue meaningful goals, and contribute to the well-being of others. Your spiritual journey should not be confined to specific moments, but should weave seamlessly into the fabric of your everyday existence. Whether you're on your way to work, on a break, or simply just tuning in to see what this podcast is all about, I'm so grateful that you were here with us today. Remember, these insights are not just food for thought, but tools for action. So until our next check-in on After Contract Hours, take a deep breath, embrace your spiritual journey, and let the wisdom gained today guide you towards a happier, more fulfilled life. Clocking out now, but the journey of self-discovery continues. Stay tuned, stay mindful, and above all, stay well.